Hello. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the songs on our new album, Dynamic Equilibrium Redefined, and how we came to write them and what they mean to us. The first one I'm going to start with is Cool Ball, and Cool Ball is named after the township in the Poconos of Pennsylvania. It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek song, but I felt really doomed when I wrote it. It's kind of from the voice of a very evil person. So that's why when we play the song live, I usually am in a suit for it. But by the end of the song, I rip off the suit and I'm in my whatever I decided to wear. And to me, that resembles every evil person, every businessman, I don't know who you don't like, but inside every one of these people, there's a screaming child and they're wanting to get out so badly. Keystone State is about the journey and that we've been on together. It's kind of it's two separate journeys. It's the psychedelic journey that kind of came to us on one of our first mushroom trips when we drank the tea. So that's, the lyrics about drinking the tea and looking up into the sky and seeing God and then just seeing everything as one. Other than that, the journey that we kind of mark on the map, where we toured on our first grand tour, which was back in 2015, about 5 years ago actually this month. We went from Long Island, we started at Sip This, we went to Pennsylvania, which is where I grew up and where we live now. And we went all the way, we went to Detroit, so Michigan, the Michigan freeze, which usually when we go to Michigan, it's pretty cold. And then we went all the way to Aberdeen, which is this grand adventure. It's kind of why we went on this tour. So we went out there to see the boys. Great Uncle Gary, who's kind of like a wizard to us. He's an art creative, and they grew up with him, so we wanted to make the trip to see him, and we just kind of combined the tour with that trip. So from Aberdeen, we went kind of down towards Oklahoma. The people who we've met there, they're just so easygoing. And also when we were in Oklahoma this one time, we were like basking in the sun. It was 70 degrees, it was March. So meanwhile in the Poconos, our roommate Eric had called us and he was like, guys, I'm walking back to the apartment because I was driving home and now there's 2 feet of snow. And we're just like, oh shoot, dude, we're in Oklahoma, there's nothing we can do to help you. So then we went through Louisiana, Mississippi, and we usually kind of make the loop up through Tennessee and North Carolina to see our friends out there. The song is about the journey, the ones that we've taken in our mind and the ones that inspired us to get out of our comfort zone. Hot and Fresh. So, Hot and Fresh is a jam that we burst into quite often, and it came from Cool Ball, so it's really just the intro of Cool Ball. But when we were deciding what to name this album, which here, I'll show it to you. There's this sign in our kitchen, I think one of our parents got it for us, and it just says coffee, there's a little coffee, it's in a coffee shop, it says Hot and Fresh. And I was like, guys, what if we named the album Hot and Fresh? We didn't do that, but we named one of our favorite jams Hot and Fresh. So here's the album, by the way. I'll take this little brief moment to show you. We have Hot and Fresh, OBAB. So the story behind OBAB is I was visiting my parents in Duncannon, Pennsylvania, and my sister was home, and we were gonna leave this morning, but my mom calls me and she's like, I was driving down 11 and 15 and I saw this carcass on the road and there were all these babies running around it. I don't know what they're doing. They might have been kittens. I said, all right, Mom, I'm gonna go check out the situation. So I get up, I tell Nick, I'll be right back. I walk into the living room and my dad's there and he's like, did you just talk to your mother? And I'm like, yeah, and we're like, let's go. So we get in the car and me and my dad pull into the center lane. My mom had told me exactly what she had seen, so we knew where to go. And I put gloves on, I get the box out, and I don't know what these things are, but there is a bunch of little critters outside of this bloody mass on the road. And I approach this carcass and it is an opossum and there are little baby OBAB running around her. So the song is named OBAB after these little babies that I it was crazy. I like reached down and I pick them up and put them in the box one by one. And one of the lyrics about reaching into the womb, which it's not actually a womb, it's actually a pouch because they're marsupials, so it's not technically like factual, this song. So I'm looking at this dead mom on the road, and there's like, you know, I have 5 of these little babies in this box, and inside of it started to move, and I looked over at my dad in the car, and he's just like, woo! I looked in, and right where the pouch was open, busted and bloody, was a little baby like trying to like crawl in there with its feet. And I reached in and I pulled the baby out of the pouch. You're just like, what? So I pulled it out, I put it in the box, drove away, and it was quite beautiful because we didn't know if they were going to survive, but they just all started grabbing onto each other in this box. And their little tails and their little grabby hands, they all held each other in this little ball. You know, we couldn't avoid the tragedy of the mom getting hit, but we could define the destiny by letting them love each other a little bit longer. Those OBAB, we brought them to a rehabilitation center in Pennsylvania, and one of them didn't make it, but the other 5 were released back into the wilderness. So they're just little wild animals now, and that's OBAB. Brain activity. So brain activity is Matt's song. A meditation when Matt sits down at the keyboard and starts, it's kind of like he reads poetry. I can wonder what brain activity means, but if you listen to the words, you would probably assume that it has something to do with being not in your right mind. Jesu was. Originally we were calling it Jesus was, but we kind of just wanted it to sound cooler. The song is kind of a timestamp of where we were at in 2015 and 2016, which was during the Bernie Sanders campaign, and there was just a whole lot of hope back then. It also kind of transcends that into Jesus. What if he was just a peace-loving politician, kind of like Bernie? Like, would we call him a communist, or we call him names? And the first verse, you know, so open-minded, her brain fell out of her head. That I heard a man say that. We were on tour, and I was going for a jog one day, and there was just some man talking to his friend like, she was so open-minded, her brain fell right out of her head. And I just thought that was a great lyric. And I'm like, he's probably talking about me, and he doesn't even know it. Because when you're that open-minded, you're doing everything you can to be conscious about everyone else, and you're doing everything you can to be empathetic towards everyone else, and you're just trying the best you can. Jesu was is kind of a period piece of 2015, 2016, and I wish I was wrong in my final verse. Riot Feast. Originally, this song was called Riot Fest, and it is written about the journey Nick and I took to go see the Flaming Lips at Riot Fest in Chicago in 2016, I believe that was. And it was just a mad night. I mean, we were not in our right minds. There's always that moment when the Flaming Lips show is over, but the trip isn't, and then you're stuck in Chicago and you've never been there before, and you're like, whoa, like, and there's some guys saying, you don't gotta stay here, but you gotta go home, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, we can find our way out of it. You know, the ride home to our friend's place was kind of scary, so the first verse is kind of about, like, whoa, like, the situation is out of my control, and if I got into a car crash right now, this car would not float. I would die, and even though I'm in this mindset where it's like, I wish it could just, that's not gonna happen. You know, it was also kind of happening around 2016, so we were wondering, like, man, like, is it gonna get as bad as 1968? Like, things can't get as bad as 1968. What does this all mean? Ascending into the realm of the immeasurability. This is a sound meditation that Nick put together mostly, and he plays the theremin on it. There's a xylophone on it. We wrote it in the studio just as kind of a breath of fresh air and kind of like a sound collage, because Nick is just a mastermind at producing and putting together sounds and hearing things that like we can't, and then we hear them, we're like, whoa, you really knew. So ascending into the realm of the immeasurability is exactly what it is. It's a meditation, and you kind of feel like you're going up. So the album ends with the song Infinity, and Infinity is a love song that I wrote the lyrics to in the beginning of 2019. I was working on a movie set, and it was an hour-and-a-half commute. So it was also a shit show, so I just really wanted to be at home with Nick and just creating and doing our work, but I knew I had to do this job. I would just be driving home in the van and just be singing this song to myself until I'd get home to him. So eventually I figured out the keyboard part to it, and the night that I brought it to the band was the night that we recorded it. We weren't in our right minds, so we just recorded it and said, like, that is the energy behind this song. It is a trippy, weird kind of fumbling song that's a meditation, and it's a love song, whether you're, it's a love song to sing when you're trying to get home from a long day at work. It depends on who your lover is. It could be your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your partner or your dog or your cat. It could be your baby, your kids. It's anyone you love. Could be that guy singing it in his own bird language, so it's just a love song. Sing on a long drive home to the one that you love. Could be yourself. That is what Dynamic Equilibrium Redefined is all about, all of the songs on it. If you would like to give it a listen, it's on Spotify, so you can just go look it up, find us, follow us. That's super helpful nowadays. And if you really want to purchase one of our vinyl, just go to our Bandcamp. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any other questions about the songs or the lyrics, just ask and I'll tell you, because I think I gotta go.